I'm working on a mix. I figured I'd take you guys along with me. It's a song that's like a rock song with an opera singer doing backgrounds, and I feel like the opera singer's voice may need a little more flavor, a little more room sound to it, because it's kind of dry. And to go along with the lead, maybe it needs a little more something. So we'll investigate that. And then also potentially investigating the mix bus to see if maybe we're going to tweak something on there or not. Right now, there's several instances of different saturation type plugins on there, kind of Chad Blake style. The Studer's on there, the A800 by UAD, which is a great plugin. Several plugins on there. Master Desk's on there. The Gold Clip is on there. Toupee or Toop, whatever you want to call it, by Goodhertz is on there. It's pretty jacked up with plugins. So we're going to determine maybe we could eliminate several and it will be just as good. Let's kind of just look at it and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's check out the chorus a little bit before it, just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. Also, just keep in mind, I'm not wearing headphones because it's annoying to wear headphones when I mix. So you may hear some tails of things as I hit stop, just whatever bleeds into the speakers, because this is muted as the song's playing. But when I hit stop, you're going to hear some tails. So let's just account for that a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. All right, so that opera singer, his voice is so good. All that's on it now is a little SSL 4KE, really just boosting around 10K-ish, 11K, and a touch of compression, not much. And then some Pro MB stuff happening. I'm basically hitting it with an 1176. Now, why am I hitting it with the 76 in parallel? Because I want to mix this in with the dry signal. If you notice the dry signal, when I say dry, I really just mean the stuff here that's fed to background vocals. See this BGVS? It's going down to here, and it's not exactly dry. It has some stuff on it. De-essing, micro shift, which is like a chorusy kind of ish sound by Sound Toys. Then I got a Fairchild doing a little something. I'm hitting it with a Devil Lock. I'm hitting it with an S1 imager, tilting the image a little. I'm hitting it with a doubler. I'm hitting it with the band delays effect, which is actually on Beat Enhancer, which is something I just found one day, and I was like, that sounds cool on vocals. So I just left it there. But this is on the background vocal, so it ain't dry. But when I say, as I was listening to it, would this have been enough? Maybe. But it was nice to sort of hear more of the diction of all the stuff he was saying. So especially because he's holding these long notes, I wanted to hear more and make it like just a little more spitty, a little more just aggressively compressed. So all buttons in mode. If you're not familiar, you hold shift and just start clicking the buttons till they're all in. And then you get all buttons in mode on the UAD. All right. And then, very fast release, moderately fast attack. It's pretty fast. This would be the slowest it goes, which is still pretty fast. So this is pretty fast at 5. And the fastest it goes is 7, just so you're aware. Most people know this kind of thing, but some don't. It's all good if you don't. You will learn it. And then, so basically I got that in parallel. So I don't know, have I set this up yet? All right, yeah, so I just started when I hit record. I was like, I might as well show this. So bus 11 and 12 sent full bore 0.0 all the way to here. Now, this thing is one of the parallels. Now, I also kind of just got these ready, which is a nonlinear that I like to throw on vocals because it doesn't really sound like a reverb. You can sort of bury it where it's not so apparent that it's a reverb. Just make sure you're on full wet dry when you're using it in parallel. So all the way wet, basically. And then, the nonlinear setting is my favorite on the reverb. And it's so funny how some reverb plugins are really good, the old ones especially, because I don't know what it is about kind of weird digital sounding reverbs that maybe aren't the most realistic do have a tendency to sound really good. But the nonlinear practically sounds like it's not there. It just gives you some width. And slap, a little Echo Boy slap, the edgy vocal slap is a good favorite of mine. I'll also use, I still use H delay. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. So let's see what else we got. Basically, these things haven't been set up. 3, 4, and 5, 6. That was the sends from the lead vocal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, see, lead vocal, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I'm basically going to do is change these. Now, something you may want to do is set these all up separately. See, if I make every track like 11, 12, that means I don't only have to set one send up here, and I can still control the volume on these separately. So a lot of times I'll do that just in the interest of the quickness, because the quickness is key. Now, you have to sort of balance organization and quickness. See, I'm not the most organized person all the time. So it depends on what I'm going for, and if I want to do something quickly to keep the vibe, I'll just set everything to the same bus. That's a cool thing about, like, some DAWs, I know they have a hard time with this or don't like it when they don't allow you to do this kind of thing, I think. But you basically send them all to the same bus, and then you create different things, so you only have to send it once. Anyway, so this thing, these all should be full. Just make sure we got full all the way wet mode for all these. Yeah, good. See, mix all the way wet. Now, let's run it and just see what this sounds like. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make... Felt like a little too much verb, so I'm just gonna lower the verb track a little bit. All right, this nonlinear one is all I have to lower, and maybe bring up the slap a smidge. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. Just gonna lower that 1176 track a bit. Now, if I mute these out one at a time, you can kind of hear what they're doing. So the 1176 is really bringing it to the forefront. So listen to the opera guy. He starts singing in the second verse a lot too. So check this. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hand, close your eyes, Mr. Lunatic. Now let me mute out that 76, right? It actually sounds kind of cool in the second verse to have him kind of fade back a little bit, at least on this line. So I'm just going to drop that by about 5 dB on that parallel compression 76 track. So now I'm really just automating how loud the compressor is. That is specifically for making him very clear, the background singer, on certain words. Certain phrases, rather. Close your eyes, Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? No, you never know who to trust. Should I listen as you use your gun? And that is why I live. While I'm going, I'm sort of simultaneously adjusting some volumes on the lead vocal track whenever it, anytime it's going to do. Know who to trust. I just sort of wanted to make the trust. You never know who to trust. Now, when it comes to stuff like this, you could automate it with a fader. You could do all sorts of things. A lot of times I'll just highlight the word. In this case, it's somewhere over here. Sometimes I'll move it to make it make more sense. I'll put it right up next to, you know, this guy right here, which is the thing with the words on it. Right now, it's sort of far away. You never know who to trust. So this is the trust. So I just might make it louder like that. Option B, we hit the pencil tool, and then we can just draw it in. That's option B. It's really just the end of it that bothered me, so that doesn't hurt too bad. We'll just leave that alone. You never know who to trust. Should I listen as you use your gun? I kind of want the next phrase a little louder, so just highlight the section and bring it up a smidge. See this guy right here? Just gonna highlight that section, bring it up 1.5. As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna pull you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out, only you. Now this, I feel like I want to lower the whole thing, but bring up certain sections. So in other words, I'm just going to lower it by a couple dB, and then I'm going to mess with the pencil. If I'm gonna make it out, only you. Let's hear that. Get out. Only get out. Only you. Get out. Only you. And that's the thing I really like more about something like the other tool. The pencil has a tendency, when you use a trackball, I don't know, it's not as finite as I want. If you make a dot, like make a mark before, then you can kind of manipulate things without it moving after the dot. So you got to make the dots. Sometimes I forget to make the dots. So like the pencil isn't my go-to, but it's something that helps a lot sometimes. Especially if you don't want to get near the fader, because that's the other option, is we come over here and we go to touch, latch. I usually like touch. We come over here to touch, and then it's like, all right, let's find it on the control surface. Here we go. So the predict gets lost, so that's really what I'm focused on. It's just getting the predict up. That word, only you predict. The predict, I'm trying to jam that a little bit. Now, the thing that's so cool about automation is that if you use touch, all you got to do is let go and it will go back to where it was before you touched it. That's why it's my favorite. If you go to write, it's just going to overwrite everything you do every time from the point you hit go. So it's like, I don't know if I love write as much. When I was starting out, I used to use write all the time, and then I'd wind up having to keep redoing moves I liked. So touch is definitely the move, in my opinion. And then when you're done, just put it back to read so you don't accidentally move stuff. That's my recommendation for that. Also, take off the pencil tool like as soon as you can if you're not messing with that pencil. Sometimes after I draw an automation, I will just go in, highlight, and lower everything by a little bit. Sometimes you get the automation nice, but you're bringing it up a little too much so you can hear everything, and then just lower it a dB or so, and it should be good. dB and a half, something like that. Let's get this last one going. I'm just going to lower this whole thing a little bit. We need more of that guitar solo. It's a good guitar solo. What do we got going here? Find the guitar solo. Here. My gain staging's clearly a bit off here, but sometimes, as I said, in the quickness, if you're going through and it's good, try not to think too hard about stuff. So in this case, I got plenty of room on that last plug-in on the chain, essentially. The MB is also on here doing a little bit of stuff, but I got plenty of room on the output before that, so I can kind of boost as much as I need into it and still maintain what the MB is doing. So that's kind of why I'm working in this way. Otherwise, I mean, if you were to think about every problem that happens throughout the line, I think you just overcomplicate the whole thing. It's good to kind of manage it as you go, but once you're in a place where you're kind of happy, don't undo it just to get the numbers back to normal. Like, I find that's always a mistake. I used to always do ridiculous things. The OCD could kick in, and now you want to put all the volume knobs back to, close to nothing like over +6 or something. I mean, there's just, anybody could come up with ridiculous things to do. That's not a good idea. If it was me and it's sounding good, leave it alone. If it's not sounding good, then look at why, and maybe, we're way too hot here. Let's lower everything. But in this case, there's a lot of guitars. So by the time it got to the guitar solo, it's like that thing needs to be cranked to kind of get above the other guitars. They sort of harmonize with each other. That's why they're both there. I felt that was cool, so I'm leaving that. That's pretty cool. Let's see what we're dealing with in the first chorus or second chorus. Let's go there.
Mr.
going to increase the slap a little bit. Let's increase the slap and lower the 1176 a little on the lead. Let's see if that's better, perhaps. That's interesting. There's something weird going on there. We got to figure out what that. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna pull you out. It's almost like this vocal was muted. Never gonna pull you out. Now that that's unmuted, we can get rid of this ridiculous automation move. There was an automation move that made no sense here. I'll show that to you again. See this automation move? It was like juiced up because the vocal was muted on the lead for some reason, and it was only on the double. So got rid of that. Let's bring that back to normalcy. Never gonna pull you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. Let's see what this boost. That's the trust instead of I didn't want it to sound like trust. It was like It was like what? Trust. So I tried to get the st. So that's why that's boosted. Okay, I think okay. We're getting there. All right, so now what? I say we go. Go-to effect that I use all the time is the eighth and the quarter. Now, this is done a lot in hip-hop, and it's done in all sorts of music, right? But I just notice it the most on hip-hop tracks for some reason. You do an eighth on one side and then a quarter on the other. And I believe this is what Anthony Kilhofer did on Watch the Throne, like all over it. So an eighth one side, quarter the other. I think he used H delay. But this has got a cool thing to it going on. That's, it just adds a little vibe to it just makes it sound wide and interesting on both sides without using like an auto panner or something like that, which I am a big fan of also. Now, this is the kind of thing where I'm going to really play with how much feedback there is and set it to almost nothing and see if I like that. And if not, I may automate when this is on and when it's off. So I'll give you a good example of that. We'll go to the chorus. Let's go to the chorus. I actually like it down here. It's not bad down here. I'm going to lower it by 0.8, and then I'm just going to pull it up on the words I want, and I'm going to do that using the down and up arrows. So as soon as I get to a word I want, I'm going to hit the down arrow. When the word's over, I'm going to hit the up arrow. It's going to highlight a section, and that will allow me to drag it very easily. Now, could I do this with the automation thing? Yes, but I like to kind of give you guys both ways in case you don't have a controller or a fader. So you see down and up on the word down, pretty much, the end of it. Now listen to what happens. A little more on that word round. Now it came down from a little too fast for my taste, so let's just give it a little juice in the sluice. Let's hear that. Came up a little hot for my taste, so let's smooth the up. Let's hear this. See what I'm doing? That's just giving a little interest to a couple words that I found need a little juice on this quarter note, eighth note delay thing. CLA does this kind of thing a lot and refers to it as the vocal throws. So he may have a particular like bunch, like a delay that has a lot of feedback maybe, and then like if I turn the feedback up, it wouldn't be as destructive now, but I sort of like how it sits low and you can kind of hear it and then you hear it more, as opposed to just automating the throws up a lot. I don't know. It's cool sometimes. In this case, I think this is better. Now I could add a little more. Now this, see, I like to kind of, when these things are really clearly heard, it sounds a little cheese. So when you can kind of make it a little bit more buried, but it's still there, so you can hear it, but it's not super apparent, it could be better. Down up arrows are clutch. I'm a big down up arrow fan. And then just to show you what it would be like if we did use the fader, we'll come over here, go to touch. Got to find the track on the jams. So let's find the track on the jams here. A little too much, so we could just grab what we did and just pull it down a smidge. Let's see. Now, I actually like when it's not on that last one. At first, I thought it was cool, but then I'm actually going to go completely remove it on the last one. Let's see. It just makes it more perfect. I like it where it is in this, like, right at this. I just want to put it on the tick, Lunatic. I hate it there, so it's better like this. Now that hold your hands disappears for me. Now I could automate it on the track down here on the lead vocal thing, which is probably the best place to do it because this is where everything kind of winds up. Or I could do it on the 1176 track. Either way would bring out this word more. I want the word hands to come out. Hold your hands. Hold your hands. Close your eyes. Hold your hands. Close your eyes. I'm going to automate it on both. A little here, a little there. Because this is the track that brings clarity. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. The eyes is a little disappearing. So let's make that a little louder. Here we go. Close your eyes. Now, as the two voices collide here, I'm going to make this a little bit hotter just to bring it up. Now, by automating on the compressed track only, it kind of allows the vocal to just be embellished in certain places, but it doesn't sound like an active volume ride, which I like.
Close your eyes, Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise.
Now let's go back to our "what are we doing over here" style. What are we doing over here?
I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let.
A little too much on this flow here, just a little bit.
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna.
More so on that one than the front one. The front one wasn't terrible.
Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. Let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. Let you down. Let you down. Let you down. Gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think, gonna make it out. All I gonna make it out. All I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out.
Now, for some reason, I don't love the way these only use sound. So my goal is make it more interesting by changing the texture on those words. So let's go to the nonlinear. And from the nonlinear, we will highlight a section and drag it up. It's given us a different room sound here, a little intense. Maybe it needs some automation. Let's shift click the phrase slap delay track below it. Let's see if we could add a little of that flavor. So I call these the flavor tracks, right? You got your 76 flavor, your nonlinear reverb flavor, your slap flavor, and your quarter note, eighth note flavor. By manipulating these differently in different parts of the song, you change the texture and the flavor. Let's really go crazy with it. Let's just see. Definitely not. In fact, I think these things are getting in the way a bit. What I will do here is something I do sometimes. You're going to witness it. We are going to duplicate the track. Shift Option D. That's the move. You duplicate the track. Now, when you do this, I often will just kind of, literally just remove everything on the track. Sometimes I leave everything where it is, but this is we're going to use some audio suite coolness. Now, let's just see. I know we were in this bridge thing over here. Now, the reason I'll do it on a different track is because if it doesn't sound good or I don't like it, I really just want to be able to go back. And by having it on another track, it's easy go back time. So by just pasting it down below, and then, we're going to mute the one that's there. Now I can take this and really process it in Audio Suite. I'm a huge Audio Suite fan. If you come up to Audio Suite, there's a number of things we could do to start messing with this. But my first usual, what to do is, in this case, when I'm listening, it's like I want to filter it in a way. And my favorite filter is by far Filter Freak. Now, I use Filter Freak a lot because it's so, it's just so intuitive. Listen, that's pretty cool in and of itself, right? So let's just see if that's okay. Then I always select more space so you let the thing process more when you're doing delays or something like that. That's really where it comes into play. So now let's put on a delay of sorts. Now, what's my favorite delay, you may ask? Crystallizer, which is another Soundtoys plugin that's not Echo Boy. I love Echo Boy, but the Crystallizer is just, I don't know. It's just really cool. So we could do anything. The Echo Reverse, they just got really cool. Let's just hear what we do here. And then let's hit it with, so let's just hear what this sounds like, okay? That was pretty cool. And the best part about a plugin like this is that you could literally, I could copy this, right? I could copy the whole thing and we could do them all, but I like to go one at a time because by going one at a time, you can really dial in the flavor however you want. So in other words, we did that for the first one, but for the second one, maybe we'll use this same effect, but we'll process it in the other order, just for argument's sake. So let's say we come over here, we go Crystallizer, and then it's, what was the thing? Filter Freak. See, there's actually two versions of Filter Freak. There's Filter Freak 1 and 2. So this time we'll use 2. By far, the best thing you can invest in my opinion, is the Soundtoys bundle. It's just my favorite one. But I'm not the first person to tell you that, I'm sure. Let's hear this. It's just so intuitive. Literally, I'm dialing up a preset and hitting go because this is a flavor saver kind of section. We don't have to spend crazy time. If we get a vibe that sounds cool, then I'm in for, all the way. Now let's go to Little Plate. Let's hear. Little Plate is my favorite reverb. Now, what's the pattern here? Soundtoys, Soundtoys, Soundtoys. That's the pattern. There might be too much low end in that, but let's... We lost too much presence, so undoing one. Now let's just hear it with the filter freak and not out without the reverb. Sorry about that. That was just loud because it was doubled up. Sorry again, my bad. Let's get rid of that. Here we go. Come over here. Now for this one, let's just try something else. Let's just take the track. Let's just select the track. Let's come over here. Let's go to reverse. We're going to reverse this. See how this sounds. All right, reverse. Okay. Then let's take this thing. Let's go from somewhere here. Let's hit it with a long reverb, like with the little plate. Let's hit it with some extreme, some deep cavern, even crank that a little. Hit that. Now let's come over here and reverse it one more time. Now let's come over here and hit it with... Bring that back. Let's leave this one in play. Let's hear this. Certainly interesting. I don't know if I love it, but let's see. Let's hit it with some filter freak. Filter freak. She's filter freaky. Let's hit it with some of this. That's what I'm talking about. Let's hear that. She's filter freaky. I'll tell you what I want to do. It's like we're rolling with the punches out here. You notice that? You know what I'm saying? So what I actually want to do is make this longer. Now, the cool part about Audio Suite is whatever you had dialed up will remain. So in other words, I could undo this to get that filter freak. See how it says filter freak still? FLTR, FR1. If I undo past filter freak where it's no longer there, see, it still says filter freak. Hold on. I'm trying to get to where it still says filter freak. Hold on. Filter freak. There we go. So this is just the reverse with the reverb. Now, I had made this significantly smaller, but now I'm realizing it would be cool to leave it as big as we can get it because it needs to extend into that whole other section that's still there. So basically, really taking it back to the old school because I'm an old fool who's so cool. And now I'm going to hit it with this thing that was cool. It's still there. All the settings are there. So boom. Now let's hear what we got. Want to get down? I'm going to show you the way. Now you can see it kind of limited out pretty hard here. So I may even, instead of bumping this to the degree that I bumped it, let's just keep that down so it doesn't get all gnarly on us. A little less limited. Yeah. Here we go. Let's hear what's up. I like it. Now, I may time stretch this, or instead of time stretching it, let's, we could just start it a tad later and let the ramp kind of do its own thing. We could do that. Several things I could, or I could just take it like from here out and just add like a little delay on it. Just like grab a section that's before it gets quiet. And then I'm basically going to hit this, just this, with a repeat. So we're going to hit it with a delay. It's like just what it's basically what I heard when I'm listening. See, that's the thing. This is why this is kind of hard to really, like, once you start getting into flavors, it's just about what you want to hear. That's really all it is. There's no right or wrong. It's like, what do you want to hear? And that's why no 3 people would do the same mix, and no 2 people would do the same mix, and no 1.5 people would do the same mix. Here we go. Nope, not aggressive enough for me. We need some aggression. Let's hear it. Let's hear that. Now, I may fade this in and out. I may not. Let's. Hold on. Let's hear it. I don't love this one. Let's just soften this a little bit with something. Let's just soften it with some of this, some springs. Let's hear it. Hit it with something else. Let's just give it a touch of some kind of verb, Let's go back to that same verb, because I'm taking it back to the old school. Taking it back to the old school, because I'm an old fool, blue ball too. Wanna get down, I'ma tell you the way. Ooh, there it is, let me hear that. It doesn't even matter. Let's just take that off. It's kind of the wrong delay. And if you don't like what you did, you come up here, you just click the freaking thing over there, you click this, paste it below. Some people drag. I'm a paste guy. I don't drag as much. I paste. Also, you don't have to, what do you call it? You don't have to cut it. You can leave it there. Now, leave it there. Over here, we're going to go. You know when I hear leave it there, you know what that reminds me of? You know the scene in Sopranos when he's eating at the card game and he's dropping cheese and meat all over his feet? And the kid's like, the Bevilacqua kid. He goes, oh, the kid from A Bronx Tale. He's like, I just, you're dropping cheese and meat. He's like, Silvio goes, what? Leave it there. Leave it there. And he says something like that. And then he says a pretty, he's like, if anybody remembers what he says, throw it in the comments. It's a little crazy. I put provolone in my socks at night so that they smell like your sister in the morning. Let's go a little deeper. Let's just hit it with this. And then let's just see what the crystallizer's got in store for us today. What you got, crystallizer? I'll show you what I got. Boom, radio echo. Let's see. Now, all right, we're
Should I listen?
automating the quarter note and eighth note a bit just to give it a little gumph. So basically, in the pre-chorus, on the trust it. Now my brain zoomed out, like if you could hear it, it goes, and I'm out. And then I'm listening to the snare drum, and I'm like, why is the snare drum a little quiet? Is it just me? Am I too focused on what I'm like? Where's the snare drum? A little quiet. So now we got to look at that. Now, on my snare, I'm sending it to a Sans amp. I'm sending it to this Omni presser, which is a compressor. And I'm sending it to, like, some nonsense other drum stuff. Let's see. What's drum effects? I lost track of it. This API Vision channel strip. So I'm basically sending the drums to a few different places, just to give it some oomph. Now, I'm not sending all the drums. I'm sending the snare to those places. I'm sending the hi-hat to those places. I'm sending the rack and the floor to those places. The overheads don't go there. And the reason I'm sending the hi-hat is because sometimes the hi-hat has a lot of snare bleed in it, so it can help to kind of get those in the same place sometimes. In this case, I felt it was doing okay to do that. The cymbals, however, I don't usually like to saturate a ton or really compress a ton. Unless they're hurting me, I won't try to saturate to darken cymbals and stuff because they have a tendency to bleed and wash together when you do that. So I left a lot of the cymbal tracks out, the room tracks, and the overheads out of those extra things. Those drums I just described, the overheads, the rooms, and these cymbal tracks are basically going right to kit 1, which is just the full mix of the drums on one fader. See, kit 1 right here. So that's where they're going. There is no kit 2 in this song. Everything's synced to kit 1. See, kit 1, kit 1, kit 1, kit 1, kit 1, kit 1. All kit 1. K-R-S gonna rock you.
Never gonna
the bass has, just so we're 3 mics on the bass, and I think one's a DI and the other two is like a 58 and a D112, and that's happening twice. It's 2 different performances, like 2 tracks, 2 performances of the bass that have been kind of comped, and I sort of didn't put them together because it allowed me to see which was which performance. Like this one had a better intro, so we're starting with these 3 tracks, and this track's muted. It's here because sometimes what I'll do is experiment with just 1 track and see if I can get a better bass sound compared to 3. And in this case, the 3 won, so that's what's winning. That's what we're using right now. But 3 tracks, and you could see where I bounce back and forth between the performances. The whole first performance was like the whole ending, and then this one little spot in one of the verses, I guess. And then the intro here, and then just this little blip of time was really cool on this other track. So that's just how I sometimes will do it. It's not a clean way to do it. A lot of times I'll wind up comping those together, so it's just one set of tracks I'm looking at. But in this case, I just did it this way. Guitars. So many guitars. All these greens are guitars. There's lots of guitars in this song, and some of them had 3 mics on them. Sometimes they didn't. It was particularly hard to determine what was what in the song. I had to do a lot of soloing to listen to really figure out what was a double, what was a second performance. Like some of the doubles are super tight, so it was hard to discern if it was 2 different performances or not. But I figured it out. You kind of have to decode the song before you start to get the best result, I find. So you know what you're treating and when you're treating it. What else?
Oh no, you never know who to trust. Should I listen? Because I see your girl, and that is why I listen. Yeah, that is why I listen. Mr. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. Oh no, you never know who to trust. Mr.
I think the chorus, these, like, whatever the thunder is happening here, it could be more thunderous, huh?
I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out, Mr. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out.
I love that riff. Really cool riff. Now, this thing right here, boosting around 9.5K, and just a little bit of cutting around 3K, flat, flat. Basically nothing going on over here. So, nothing to see here. Now over here you got some Echo Boy doing a little bit of guitar room. Again, Echo Boy, woo, coming in clutch. Just a little bit of vibe. Like listen to it with and with.
Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out.
All guitars feed down to this single track right here. So we could bump it up by 0.8 or 1.1.5 dB, and that just brings all the guitars up by whatever that is, 0.8 in this case.
Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down.
Now, if it starts to feel squashed to me, I'll open up the Fairchild and just look at this.
Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out, gonna make it
Decided to get a little aggressive there. Let's hear. That is, what guitar is it? It's either the Firebird. It might be a Firebird. It's probably a Firebird. It's either the Firebird or the Les Paul. It sounds like the Firebird to me. And it's running through a PV Delta Blues with probably just like a 57 on it or 58 on it, honestly. Could have been a 58. And a fuzz pedal, like a 69 full tone fuzz. That's what that sound is. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have that pedal anymore because somebody stole it from me. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm liking what this sounds like. Now, if you notice, I point, like I went over here, I clicked this, and I lowered my monitors a lot because I like to listen low towards the end, especially, most of the time. But I noticed I was listening a little hot as things get louder. Sometimes it gets hotter, and I wanted to check it super low. It's important to me for volume, for vocals especially, to make sure I check the mix low constantly.
That is why
This guitar was recorded with a room mic, like deep in the room, 3 mics on the guitar, and a back mic for the cabinet and a front mic. This is the back, and this is the front. Actually, I'm wrong. I think. I can't tell if it's the Echo Boy or doing that. One of these is back, one of them's front, or there's 2 rooms. Yeah, now I'm actually reconsidering the Echo Boy because it will bring the guitar to the forefront, and I'm wanting like more volume on the guitar, like a more clarity. There's like too much bottom end on this. See, look at this. I'm cranking the bottom. For what reason? No clue. No clue. No clue. No clue. That's a room sound because there's nothing on it and it's really reverbed out. That's a mic that was pretty far. It's definitely a mic that was far away from the end.
Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your
Studer plugin's truly amazing, this plugin. The beautiful thing is when you click this open button and you get to this cool stuff, you really can boost the drive in the high frequencies and make it add that sheen to it. Like listen to You hear that? It's crazy. You can do a lot of other stuff too. If you're on the repro head, look at the repro EQ. You can mess with the high frequencies and the low frequencies. I mean, really dial in a lot of cool stuff on this plugin. In addition to which, we know what these settings are, right? If you want it to kind of sound more just like you're hitting the tape harder, you mess with the calibration, which is basically the flux setting. And then if you want, kind of the way I look at it is the cleanest version of this, you can hit it with the GP9 and the 30 inches per second is kind of the cleanest version of tape. The dirtier you go, like if you set it to 250, it kind of saturates earlier, and where this is set will change where the low end hump is. It's like you gotta play with this stuff to really see it. But if the way I look at it is the most high frequencies are preserved when I'm at 30 IPS per second. The lower you make this, the more roll off there is in the high frequencies. So, and this is like basically the 250 is the oldest kind of tape, and then it kind of goes up from there in terms of better quality tape as time went on. So this plugin's amazing. Let's be real. There's a lot of tape plugins that are really cool. This is one of my favorites, and also the ATR, the Ampex one's really cool.
Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? No. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I
looking at my clarity, which is the thing that tells me the LUFS metering. I always leave the LUFS metering thing on the desk so I could see it all the time. And I know if I'm coming in around negative 6.9, like right under negative 7 LUFS, or at negative 7 is fine too. But like that's just usually a spot that's comfortable for me, where I'm able to achieve some sort of dynamic range, but also be kind of loud with it. But yeah, sometimes I'm not afraid to get lower than that though, like, and have the whole mix be more dynamic and lower. It's just at a loud spot in the song, like this ending point where everything's coming together in a climax and the freaking guitars are soloing and every guitar is in. So it's like we got all the guitars and then we add solo guitars on top. It's like that's usually the louder part. If I'm at negative 6.9 at that point, I'm doing okay. You go to the verses, it'll be significantly quieter than that.
Everybody hold your hands, close your eyes, Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? Should I listen? No, you never know who to trust. Should I listen? Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why
Obviously, you know what I'm doing right now. Little Pan City here. A lot of people don't realize if you don't double click the clipping button up here, you don't really get a reset. And you need the reset to know how much you're clipping or not.
know who to trust.
I like the dynamics in this, so I don't want to kill it that much. But I think I'm just going to slap a little L1 on it and just lower everything.
No, you never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out, I'll make it make it out. All I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. Turn around, I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think.
Woo! Tuning on that is funky, huh?
Never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lou, turn around, I ain't never gonna let you down. Turn around, I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? No. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out, I'll make it
If you're unfamiliar with what I just did, the markers all have numbers. So when I make an end, like you see that, what I like to do is go You see this? So if you look up here on the counter, this is how I print the song ultimately. I'll go and I'll just be like, all right, it's 4 minutes 32.981. That's what this is. So what I like to do, if you notice, if we just get outside of that, get outside of this a little bit, right? So 0.98, when we go over here, 0.04. So that's like a little longer than I would typically go, but this was a long song, so I'm good with it. But what I like to do is, 98 to 04 is like it's 6/100ths of a second more. And what I like to do is usually go between 4 and 6/100ths of a second, somewhere around there, to end the song. So in other words, where it gets to 0, add approximately 4/100ths of a second to 6/100ths of a second. So it's the second decimal place you're really looking at, and you're trying to get that to be like from 98 to like 02 would be a little less than 4 because there's another, see, 989. So it's like if you were going to go to 5, it'd be close to 4/100ths of a second. But if we go up here, we're like at 6-ish. So that's cool with me because that works. All right. I hope that made some sense. But the bottom line is, I don't know if you could see where I'm clicking, but see how this says true end? Now, I forget which marker this was because I made the markers a while ago. So what I'm basically going to do is just shift 0.1 point, and that will go to the very first marker in the song, which should be the top. So that just highlights everything from the end to the top for me because 0.1, like my first marker, when you create markers, the first one you create is usually 1. So people put top, and then they go through the song, and then end is whatever number end would be. But the point is, I forgot what end was, so I found it by just getting close. Then I hit shift 0.1 point, and that goes to the top because that's the first marker. If your first marker is in the middle of the song, that ain't going to help you. But that's the benefit of marking the song. Now, once we've highlighted the song, I'm basically going to print it. Now, you could bounce. Bouncing is okay. You could bounce if you want. I'm a kind of a print guy. So we go up here and we go new, which is also shift option N. But one new stereo audio track. And we're going to call it Mr. Lunatic. And then this is like the first, we'll call this M1 BF because I'm using the Barefoots at the moment. So sometimes I like to title it with the speaker I'm using. Just so in this last few months, I've been kind of testing a couple speakers. So it just helps me to know what I did what on, just for later reference. I noticed this loop function is on, so shift Apple L will clear that because I don't want any loop thing to happen. Now, since this is highlighted, it's going to play from the top of the song all the way through to this, and we just have to set this part up now to grab it. So just any track that you know is free. For me, I know this one is free, so I'm just going to go here, and now let's run it. I'm just going to run it in real time. That way I can listen to it also. So the true start is not there, I'm noticing. The true start is here. Let's find the true start. Okay. That's our true start. So let's go from there. Before I do this, something I'll always do by habit, go to Gold Clip, double click that so it starts from 0. You want to know where it's clipping, how much it's clipping at the end. I'll check that. And also on my clarity, I literally hit the reset button. Now that will start it from 0. So I get a fresh reading of long-term integrated LUFS and also how loud I'm going to be clipping on the Gold Clip. Let's check it out. Here we go. Also, let me just take this off in case case this is adding any hiss or anything, I'm just going to take this off because there's a couple plugins on here.
Mr. Lunatic says everybody on the bus. Mr. Lunatic says everybody on the bus. Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? Because I see your gun, and that is why I listen. Yeah, that is why I listen. Mr. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out.
All right, now something I noticed, the washy guitar that's kind of like doing this Pulp Fiction track 1 thing. You know that song that's ha ha ha, you know, that one. There's a washy guitar doing this thing here that I couldn't hear enough of. I wanted more of this. Listen to this. Hold on a sec. I love that guitar. So something else I noticed is that the guitars do every once in a while distort a little bit. So I am going to experiment with something. I'm first going to save this, as I recommend people do, and then let's go into session, save as. Let's change this whole thing to, see, I actually started this mix on the key, and then I had to finish it just now because it was a disaster. And Lunatic 48K, we'll go hot gits, and then we're going to do a lowered gits. Lowered gits. Basically, we're going to gain stage the gits. Gits meaning guitars. We're going to do basically going to do a whole jam-a-roon here just to see what we can come up with that might be better. Because you notice a lot of these guitars are jamming at like plus 12, plus 9. So let's see if this makes a difference to our distortion factor. And if it doesn't, we'll leave it. Gits all, you know it. Okay. Now, gits all, you know it. Go to volume trim. Actually, let's just go to volume. And let's just bring down all of them by 12 dB, since some of them are at plus 12. Let's bring them all down. 12. Now let's just, we'll raise this up 12. That Fairchild's just keeping everything in check, huh?
'cause I see your gun, and that is why I listen. Yeah, that is why I listen. Mr. I'm never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about is it out. Mr. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out, Mr. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I
It's a little better, but I'm still hearing a little bit of crunchiness I do not like. Let me take off the Fairchild and really balance it without that at all, and then I'll put it on after if I have to. Let's see.
another surprise. Should I listen? Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. Mr. Lunatic, I ain't never gonna let you. Never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out, gonna make it make it out. All I ever think about gonna make it out. All I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. Gonna make it if I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about, if I'm gonna make it out. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever make it out. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. close your eyes, Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise. Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? As you use your gun, and that is why I listen. And that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. I'll make it
All right, I dig it. Let's print this one. I think we're there. It looks like I restored some dynamics when I gain staged the guitar significantly differently. So hopefully this is good, and I'm going to love it later and holla at shaboy because it's time to move on, and we're going to call it done. So let's see how long that was. That was about a 3-hour session on the clock right there for basically finishing this track up. So I hope it made some sense. I know I didn't explain too much. I was just kind of going with the flow, but if there's questions, leave them in the comments. Questions, answers, anything, let me know. Everybody keep in mind, you got this. And another thing, there ain't no right answers, but do what you do, feel it. Go through the whole process, feeling it. Try to feel something. Keep lowering the volume. Right now, I'm almost at a whisper level on the monitors. If there was a cat in the room, I'd hear him walking around with those, little furry paws, man. I'd hear that because it's just little furry paws. I'd hear that because it's low. So, anyway, about to have a cup of coffee. It's lunchtime. See you guys soon. Evan Jaffe Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this. Take it easy. I'm going to run the song one more time. And I'm going to print it. And you're going to get to hear that. So this was the first one right here. Just going to duplicate this. We'll call this M2. Just going to turn this mic off. Catch you guys soon. I'm going to run it through. You guys got it. Take it easy. You got this.
no, 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 no. You never know who to trust. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna point you out. If I'm gonna make it out, I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out.
That was a fake out there. Did you notice? I went to print it and I was like, what is this weird guitar that's dissonant that's killing me? And it was just one little blip in time that was bad, but the rest was good. And I'm glad I brought up the volume of that guitar overall, but I got rid of the part that was hurting us in one particular spot. So here we go. Real print this time. Holla.
Mr. Lunatic says everybody on the bus. Mr. Lunatic says everybody on the bus. Should I listen? No, 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 no. You never know who to trust. Should I listen? Because I see your gun, and that is why I listen. Yeah, that is why I listen. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. as you use your gun, and that is why I listen. Only you, son. No, 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 you never know who to trust. Should I listen? 'cause I see your gun, and that is why I listen. Yeah, that is why I listen. Mr. I ain't never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around. I ain't never gonna let you down. If I'm gonna make it out, all I ever think about. If I'm gonna make it out. Mr. Lunatic says everybody hold your hands, close your eyes. Mr. Lunatic says he's got another surprise.